like I said, man, like almost literally every month, after every 3 episodes, we have a profiter to profiter moment. It's very good. I think just to go to reflect, essentially, again, like I said the other time, these solo episodes are more of a reflection of what I've heard from the past 3 episodes, or what I've learned from the past 3 episodes. So with this episode, I want to start off where it actually started, why I had the idea of doing this particular episode, because it's about exposure, right? So a couple of weeks back, I was talking to my brother, and we were talking about how, because firstly, me and my brother talk about a lot of stuff, right? We have a lot of fruitful conversations. We speak about how we want to just be better people. We want to be better. I want to be a better sister, a better cousin, a better daughter, a better grandchild. And we speak about how to create a healthy family dynamic. We speak about what we can invest in as a family. We speak about how to tackle financial literacy as a family. Which, okay, how do we learn about money, but together, from us, and to like passing it down to our younger siblings? So in the midst of these conversations, we ended up speaking about how a lot of, especially young black people, lack exposure. Because even though in Proverbs of Prophets, one of the main goals is to teach and inspire financial literacy, we were just speaking about how if financial freedom asikho exposed yona, right? Especially as young black people. The goal is to be financially free, right? The goal is to own your time. The goal is to make sure about your finances, about money, about the money stresses. That's the goal. But it's very sad about, like, if you look at the fact that we don't know what that looks like. We don't know what that feels like. We don't know what that means. That is why we see some, if a lot of, especially us that come from like really, really bad financial backgrounds, it's like the minute you start getting 5 figures, you start going crazy. You want to buy the dopest shoes, you want to buy the flyest outfits, you want to buy ngathi ufuna ukubonakala na ukuthi yazi have arrived, and I'm saying fikile manje. So in that conversation, I was speaking about how we really, really just lack exposure, and the exposure becomes such a great being exposed to something puts such a big gap between the person that knows or person that's seen something and the person that hasn't. Take me for instance, ngiphuma emakhaya, mina ngiphuma ema-farm, like literally I want to the greater community yasePitoli, like farm Julie, right? But the amount of knowledge and the amount of understanding and the amount of experience that I've gathered in my young age of 22 months, I can only account it, or I can only I can only say it's because of the fact that I was exposed to the type of people that I was exposed to. So even though I come from a place where for instance, and as much as I feel like those are great principles, I truly believe in just planting your own food. But in terms of this life, we are so behind that we should, at least especially our generation, we're so behind, and it's because of the fact that we're not exposed to the stock markets, we're not exposed to forex. The reason, even though we're makaya, even though we're my farm, I still very much understand stocks, I still very much am in the forex industry. It is because of the fact that I was exposed to something different. Yes, I grew up around abantu engikhule nabo, but I went to a different school. I was fortunate enough, I was afforded the opportunity to go to a different school where I was exposed to so I was exposed to people like Oscar, who was the person that actually introduced me to forex. So even in high school, my mindset was different, because even though, again, coming from where I come from, I always knew I wasn't comfortable with scarcity. I was never comfortable with being in a position where I'm like, ngiyaswela ganjani manje. I always understood I wanted to be able to afford everything that I want to be able to afford. Angifuni ukukhalala ngemali ever. So in the midst of that, I got exposed to it again. Oscar was like, okay, do you know this thing called the foreign exchange markets. I was like, I'm like, okay, cool. I do research and research on top of research. I start understanding this thing. Okay, cool. Now I start falling in love with this thing. But again, from the difference between me and another person not coming out exactly from the same place that I come from is exposure. I got the opportunity to speak to Oscar. I got an opportunity to speak to Bafan. People that didn't make me feel crazy for wanting this extravagant life, or even life of just comfort, of financial comfort. The only difference between me and nabanye abantu basemakhaya was like, I got exposed to something different. I got exposed to a completely different aspect. You can actually sit down, learn a skill, and actually make money. I've always thought, you have to work super hard. Something, I don't know, man. Just work hard. Even though forex requires hard work, but it's not the same. It's a new concept that I actually really did like. I moved from KZN to PTA, right? And even here, I got exposed to now, because I was only used to that with those people who's okay, let's trade forex, and we all had different dreams, but forex was like majority of the people. It's like, okay, now I'm exposed to now a completely different atmosphere. Now I'm around rich kids. Now I'm around kids that grew up in Malini. I'm around kids whose family members, are like entrepreneurs, like big. Now I remember this one time I was sitting with these it was a group of us, because we liked skating. This guy's like, I lost 50k this week, but it's cool. I was like, wait, how do you lose 50,000 and say it's cool? Because I was 18 at the time, 2019. I was like, how do you lose 50k as a kid? So, and it was like 2021-ish. I was like, how do you lose 50k and say it's okay? No, 50k is somebody's yearly salary. That's like an annual salary of somebody somewhere. I was like, how do you lose that much money and feel like it's okay? Now I started understanding these people have an unlimited possibility mindset. They don't have the scarcity thing. These people because again, they grew up in households where money was a conversation. They grew up in households where they were taught about money and ways to make money. We even went to the guy's family, like, see, it was a bunch of us actually. Like this rich black guy is like, nah, for me money is no longer a thing. And I was like, yeah, here goes another rich person saying I'm what's in. But the more we had conversations with him, I understood what he has in is like I've worked now. I've also taught my kids and my grandkids to make money. So if Alamo will never die, whatever I build will carry on, because I have people that understand my business. I have people that I've taught and that I've imparted my vision onto. So having that conversation made me see what's happening. There is not much difference. The only difference is just like the exposure. When you see something different, or when you get exposed to a different type of life, it's very I can think the same way that you were thinking. Because from Emakaya to Escole in Labeng Funda Corner, shout out to Masek, to Labeng Funda Corner, I got exposed to the possibility of you can actually have the life that you want. You can actually afford the things that you want. You can But when I left school, when I came to Epitori, now I'm exposed to people that are talking about generations. Now I'm exposed to people that are speaking about things that I've never heard in a conversation with. Young kids understand finance. They understand everything about finance, what the importance on investing. They understand imali buku. Right? And the only difference was the fact because Emakaya, even because I've always known a lot of abantu abahlala emalokishini, especially back home where bengazi kakhulu abantu basemagama lakhe machisini whatever. I was like, when the more time I spend with successful people is the more time I understand it's not because people are lazy. It's not because I'm the type of person, I believe I'm very kind-hearted, yeah. God to mind, I'm not nice. So I'm the type of person that says, okay, sneaking, let's solve it. The minute I'm like, as in, you like the problem, stay with it. So I've always had a problem about how we say system. Masakwa solution, right? We don't put any form of amount of effort, which is zame, to actually put something up. Okay, this is the solution though. Yeah, and when we speak solution, it comes with so much backlash. I can't afford it. And it's like, guys, are we seriously talking about the fact of system since 1994, 2023, and we're still speaking about the same thing? Something has to give, right? So in these conversations, I was like, okay, cool. Probably what might help cultivate any let us build is probably exposure. Let us and also, I'm lucky enough, okay, we've started the Proverbs of Prophets clean. I get now to go into these people's spaces, these people's businesses. I get to see how they operate. I get to learn about how they started. I get to see, they tell me about their past challenges. So Baba, where stepping stone crash near Excel pool. Baba corner started the Excel pool with just a toolbox. As well, like, this is a person that was running someone else's company, gathered all the knowledge. Even though he had so much knowledge, but in that Kalenga was a toolbox. Namhlanje is established. Namhlanje, because that's one of the things we don't know what financial freedom looks like. I feel like Baba is financially free because we were speaking about how he can also continue to grow his business. Like, no, I'm at a point where I just want to enjoy time with my family. I'm at a point where I'm like, I've done what I now my son's job to continue the legacy. So being exposed to these people, it shifts your mindset too. Again, as a young person, as a person that appreciates entrepreneurship, that appreciate business owners. The minute I have these different conversations from XO Pools, Peter's Tattoo Studios, right? I am seeing what it does to you once you get exposed to something different, and I've been seeing it my entire life. So where I come from, or people that I knew back then, it's like these people aren't lazy, they're just not afforded the same opportunities. They weren't maybe lucky enough to have an Oscar, they weren't lucky enough to have an Alpha or like the whole crew. You need to know, you can't act on something that you do not know. And I think literally me and my brother were speaking about how the minute Siba Namasenchan as Otaki, we quickly revert to Abantalokshi are lazy. It's not that. Now I realize it for myself. It's not even because Abanta are lazy, they don't see it. They do not see it. It makes it's hard to tell them the fact of I can take money, buy a stock, and actually create wealth doing that, repeating that's like it's you can't even comprehend that if you've never seen it. Even people like myself, success leaves clues, right? Great, but what if I wasn't fortunate enough to have the people around me? I look at Abantu that are so far from me. I'm like, oh, Warren Buffett, and even though it's very good, and I'm grateful for the fact that social platforms have kind of afforded us the opportunity to look at Warren Buffett and actually learn the blueprint. But in terms of something closer to the one, I can't go to an uncle and say, Yazin malume, financially. I am learning everything all by myself. Okay, with my generation, like I'm learning everything, and I can't even fault my parents. I can't even fault Malume and my grandparents because of the fact but because of the fact that they come from a disadvantaged background. When they're doing the best from what they've been given, they can't even teach you financial freedom because they also trying to survive. They also trying to just mabesebenza bathi okay usiyasebenza ukuze egcineni ibhodoli yeziko. It's very, I think I never really took into my heart the importance of being exposed to a different type of to being exposed. It's very difficult. It's very important to make sure that you are exposed to something completely different from your background. Ngoba ngifuna uqamba amanga, imajority buya emakhaya buya emalokishini. You don't see people, even if people are doing it, they're not sharing their stories. Which is why the past, this for me, sitting down and reflecting, it helps me be like, Yazin, I am fortunate enough to be sitting down with these entrepreneurs. What have I learned? Stepping stone in Excel pool. Ubaba wakhona was like, for starters, I'm done with what I'm supposed to be. Like I've done everything I was supposed to do. Manje, my son must also take what I've done and multiply it and sustain it. Uyena manje so petty if he's the one that's going to carry on the legacy. Where the conversations are different. The conversations are different with people and they actually are successful in business. The conversation is completely different. Lapana, it's not about wishing anymore. I want Lamborghinis, I want Rolexes. It's about, okay, how do I sustain this? I've built this. And Uwabakan was like, my child is 7 years. Dr. Nakon is literally 7 years of age. He's teaching him everything about his business. He's literally giving him experience. He was like, I don't make my son go out to play with other kids. When he's done with school, he comes home and we work on the business. Because I'm going to leave this to him and he needs to be able to continue the business. The business still needs to be sustained and grow. Even if regardless of the fact of corner or angiko. Like it's different when, and I'm lucky enough to get exposed to that. But a lot of people aren't. That is why I like reflecting back. Now I'm like, this is more than just an interview. This is showing people I get it. This is your background, but one or two or three or four, coming from exactly the same background when so for me it was like, okay, that's actually a fire like a way of looking at life. This is just not about me what I can do as my business with my business XO, but this is also about legacy. This is generational wealth. And I think we were even so, because we spoke we had a very lengthy discussion before we even sat down, right? Like a couple of days back, we were like, okay, maybe you should do this to kind of sustain your business and grow. It's like, no, actually, success is not driving a Lamborghini. Success is not trying to prove to you and you can wear Gucci or Louis Vuitton, right? And success is being content. I've bought my time back. For the past 20 plus years, I've been working. Manje, I want to enjoy time with my family. Manje, I've afforded my kids every opportunity. And you have to go to that kid will never, his idea and his mind will never that saw umawake or grandfather struggle the entire life. That kid is he understands entrepreneurship. He is exposed to a completely different life. He's exposed to understanding what's okay, he in a business, how do you run a business? I saw my dad do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which unfortunately a lot of us don't see. Because even the second episode after that, Peter's tattoo studio, the brother was like, because of the fact, because he literally went to jail, wapuma, watabalasa, wahlanganisa his studio, wa focus on the skill of tattooing, was successful in Alionkiela, right? He's like, I never had a blueprint. So what happened was, the minute, because he makes a lot of money from his tattoo, actually, I didn't even know which tattoos made that much money. But it's like, when he said, I bought like 8 cars. Not like one time, but over a period of time, since 2017 to like 2023, I bought like 8 cars. And in doing that, it's because I didn't have somebody to direct me. It was all about trying to prove the fact, right? Now we're moving from the fact that, okay, I can do tattoos. Now what we're doing is we're creating wealth. Because it was like, what if now I can't tattoo and even that idea, because again he didn't have a person to show me blueprint. He was exposed to people, other people in the industry that was like, my brother, you won't be doing a tattoo for the rest of your life. What happens when you stop tattooing people? What happens when your back starts hurting and you can't whatever? What happens then is like, now the focus is no longer on trying to multiply money and make nothing and go have a good time or buy the latest car or buy this and that, the freshest clothes. Now it's, how do I sustain wealth? How do I grow imali yami? Again, it was exposure for him. And the minute you're exposed to something different, I promise you, it won't go back to what it's used to, right? Because the only difference between a rich person and a poor person is the fact of is knowledge. The rich person has figured out what the poor person hasn't yet, which is what a shy especially as young black people. What does that look like? Yes, we want financial freedom, and I'm in that part too. Okay, I want to get to a point where I never have to worry about money, but I don't know what that looks like. This is financial freedom. I would be like in my family, my generation are going to be the first people because of how we're moving. And according to blueprint, we're not taking it from where we grew up. We're taking it from places as I had to come to a centurion to understand finances. And Mina and my older brother and my other siblings, like my younger sisters and a couple of younger brothers, we're taking okay, now we've learned this, let's sit down and let's learn now song together as a family. But we are the first generation to ever do that. And again, I can't fault my parents, I can't fault Omkul, I can't fault Omalume no auntie, because bona Iskatsa was completely different. You get what I'm saying? From them to us, they afforded us the opportunities. We gather information and we go back home. Even in Asekaya, that's my next step. Okay, as I fight to make sure with Akaya, because Akaya is more or less balanced, but again now it's just teach, but now they get it. It's also saying, okay, I get nobody's doing that, nobody's teaching any, like there's only 1, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 people that have somewhat balanced lives, but they're not coming back with the information, so they're not exposing the people to information. And also, and now that I have a bit of information, I will share what I have. So, and the more interesting in couple and share and exposing people to information is that the more you share is the more you realize you don't know much, and you go look for more. And that is what we've done with the prophets of prophets. We are not taking these stories and pocketing them for ourselves. Literally, all these people's stories, all these people's different ventures and business ventures have taught us something. Even from, you guys will see a lot of other episodes that will come out. I'm not sure about the sequence yet, but you will see the different like interviews. Everybody's like, I want to own something. And when you are exposed to people that think that way, it's okay, as in a job is cool, né? It's cool to have a job, okay, clean. But me, now, what about my name? What about what I would move? So even though media is pushing out the narrative, like negative narratives constantly, we get it. There's unemployment, we get it. Abantu balambi, we get it. All of that is true. But in this whole thing is like, okay, but let's try and expose also the positives. Let's expose the fact that it's okay. There are people that are starting businesses and actually are employing young people. There are people that are actually I hear negative. There are people whose stories deserve to be highlighted to expose people to the positivity that's happening in Malokshini. So as you guys watch every episode, man, nibugele with the understanding, okay, even though again idea behind it ukuthi okay, let us teach and inspire financial literacy. Kodwa ekugcineni ayibe futhi ukuthi okay, we're exposing you to something different, because the exposure could be the small detail that changes everything. Njengoba ngisho ngithi, for mina it is quote unquote weird ukuthi la ngiqhamuka khona and I have this much of information, right, about the stock market, about forex, about money, right? But it's because of your exposure. I was exposed to something different. I listened to people's stories, and in listening to people's stories, I allow myself to learn. Literally ngi-sponge, ngiyancela nje, ngiyathatha yonke information. So as you guys watch this, understand ekugcineni ukuthi it's about exposure also. Ukuthi I'm exposing these, or we exposing these different stories, ukuthi ekugcineni abantu babone into ehlukile. Ukuthi let it not be the only time where you see young people sit like they're together is when we're wasting time entertaining ourselves or not building anything. Let it also be when we're building businesses. Let it also be when we are creating financial freedom for ourselves and our families. So watch every interview with your understanding yokuthi okay, ngingafundani la, what can my mind grab as a new idea that engayijwayele, right? So thank you so much for watching, man. I appreciate Lesis Kati. Yeah, enjoy every other episode, man. As you watch this, go back, watch the other episodes. If you haven't, tap in, like, subscribe, comment, hit the post notification bell. Yeah, ngoba ixabananga izobonana next week.